Hey, this week on the Shooting Straight Wrestling Podcast, Bill DeMont is out, Cena is in, and Sting speaks. Or did he? This and more when we come back.
But to be the man, you gotta beat the man, and I'm saying, woo! It's the man! What the rock! Oh, Cookie at Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the Shooting Straight Wrestling Podcast. I'm Brian Brown.
And I'm known as Mike Martinez, the Red Scorpion, to a lot of you out there.
This week we got a lot. I guess it's mild news week, but we got some stuff we can get into. A lot of stuff about Bill DeMont's going around. That's a pretty good story to get into. Raw was definitely Raw. You got the road to WrestleMania, but I think it has a few speed bumps in it so far.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you could definitely say that.
And we got some news and rumors to get into, but you want to start off with Raw?
Let's start out with Raw.
All right, let's get into Raw. All right, well, we had another 3-hour Raw, of course. I don't know. It was a decent Raw. I actually didn't fall asleep this week watching it, which is, was 1 in a 10 shot with me. But I enjoyed it a little bit. It doesn't feel like the road to WrestleMania yet. I don't feel that excitement.
It's not exciting, no.
Yeah, there was definitely some hits and misses. What do you want to get into first?
I guess we could start with the tag team.
Yeah.
The overplaying, overdrawn, nonstop storyline there with the tag team match, and then the Divas match, females match, and then the next tag team match to all kind of build up to, I'm assuming, a tag team turmoil for the titles at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I found it really weird that it was just nonstop. Like you had Tyson Kidd and Cesaro against the New Day, and as soon as they won, then you went right into Natty, and then after that match, you went right into another tag team match. Like there was no break. It was I found that was a different production style.
We were kind of talking about it, and they just kind of, it's like they're trying to feel so much to get everybody involved in WrestleMania, and they're like, oh, we got 2 weeks left or whatever it is, and so they're just kind of throwing everything together last minute, and it's, I don't know, like you said, it's kind of unexciting, really. The whole road to WrestleMania is usually like, yes, I can't wait. And this year it's just like, there's not really much. I'm more looking towards the Hall of Fame than I am the actual WrestleMania show itself, which is kind of sad.
I've got to say, I would rather have a tag team turmoil match than what it was looking like with the intergender matchup. I think the tag team turmoil would be all right. But other than Tyson Kidd and Cesaro, the Usos are pretty good. I'm not too excited about the New Day. Los Matadors are the new 3-man band.
Yeah, Los Matadors they're good. They got a great entrance, and they got the little bull and everything going on for them. And their in ring's not that bad. Their in work. I just really feel like they were kind of not utilized when they were at their best, their peak, when they were really over. So not a knock on them. It's not really their fault. It's just creative's fault. Like last week on SmackDown, I think they were currently in the ring, and a lot of my people out there know the whole currently in the ring thing means you're pretty much down on your luck with creative at that point. And then New Day is just, they're trying so hard to get those guys over, and I like those guys individually as in-ring workers, but geez,
I don't think the gimmick works.
I'm just not buying it right now. So like you said, the Usos and the Champs are really the best two teams, and they really couldn't have another match with them, at least not right away after they had their Fastlane and then their repeat match on Raw. And then the intergender thing they did the next week, so that kind of killed that angle. Yeah. So it does involve more teams, which WrestleMania seems to always try to put as many people involved as they can.
I actually see that. I don't even know if that will hit the WrestleMania card. I see
as
the opener, but they might get more time that way too.
True.
I mean, you're not on the main card, but you probably get an extra 10, 15 minutes
to actually work out. And those matches are usually the opening matches, and they're usually full of some spots, and generally gets everybody kind of pumped up. So Tyson Kidd and Cesaro will retain. So I mean,
yeah. You know, I'd like to see them bring up what happened with the Ascension. I know they were kind of a bomb, but you know, they need to bring up maybe create some. You got a lot of guys in that mid card thing, or maybe team a couple. You know,
prime
make
time
some
players were starting to. I mean, they had some teams there for a minute, and then it just kind of seemed like they're focusing mainly on the same couple of teams, and now they're trying to put a few more in.
You know, I always thought. With the Miz, not with Mizdow, but with the Miz, there was great potential for him to team up with someone else.
Let me correct you, that's Wizdow.
Oh, Wizdow, that's right. But I always thought like him and Alex Riley, I thought would have been a great tag team. They should, you know, the Miz isn't really doing anything. He'll never be that main event like he was for a minute. Why not stick him with a younger talent and make a great tag team? And you know, the Mizdow thing, or Wizdow, it's good for right now, but I mean in the long term I see you could make a pretty good tag team with someone with the Miz, like, and start beefing up that division a little bit.
Yeah, totally. I don't know whatever happened to Alex Riley. I didn't think he was that bad. I guess behind the scenes heat with John Cena probably led to his demise.
He does a lot of commentary on the network, pre-game stuff.
They took him off of that. They put some other guy on there now. I don't even apologize. I don't know his name.
NXT, yeah.
Oh, is that who it is? But so I agree with you on that. Their division's kind of weak right now, so they're trying to get us, you know, hooked on it a little bit. With this Raw.
Okay, so what else we have? We have Big Show Kane breakup, or tease, whatever you want to call it, and that's just going to go right into the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. So you know, it is what it is. I'm not excited about it.
Me neither. And really, they just took them out of the picture, had Stephanie come and send them home, so Randy Orton could strike that night, turn on the Authority and Seth Rollins, and build up their perhaps big match at WrestleMania.
Let's see. We'll go into Orton here in a little bit. The women's division. We wanted to talk about that a little bit.
I'm kind of happy that they're finally giving the women a little bit more time. I think that Triple H mentioned a while back on that podcast with Stone Cold that he definitely, had it been his decision, he'd give them the opportunity. I think the whole give the divas a chance Twitter hashtag thing that's going on right now actually stepped up in their favor. It actually had Gail Kim from TNA talking about it recently, and that's definitely a good thing. I think that there's some great workers in that division, and there's some really not good workers, which is the same thing with the males. But there's really some good girls there. There's AJ Lee and Paige. I
was thinking about this the other day, because I mean, I consider AJ Lee now a pretty decent women's wrestler. But I remember when she first came up and it was all gimmicks. So and I was judging like Summer Rae, who I'm not a big fan of. But the more I think about where AJ was 2-3 years ago, I mean, there is a chance for all them to improve. So,
definitely.
You know what I would like to see, especially we'll get into the Alondra Blaze Hall of Fame thing, but put the title on Paige and have her throw the Divas title in the trash and bring back the woman's belt.
And that's actually pretty good, because they always call Paige the anti-diva, and I'm the anti-diva caller, whatever. I don't believe in the whole diva. How can you limit somebody to just a diva? A diva, in my opinion, is just some lady that just thinks she has to have everything her way and everything perfect, and that limits, and that kind of puts the women down, because a lot of these workers are really good, and especially Alundra Blaze and a lot of the ladies from the past. That just really slaps them in the face, because especially the girls that are working hard now, it's the ones coming up, Sasha Banks and Charlotte from NXT.
That whole NXT Raw, the female roster, like, they got to get ready for that. Like, I mean, because they're workers, so I mean, they need to start getting that division ready.
And if you want to build it up and get people really interested in it, you really got to get the workers that are actually going to go out there and entertain, besides just shaking their ass and this and that, like the Bella Twins or whatever. So I like that. That's pretty good.
Create a whole new division
with Medusa going in and that whole scenario. That would. I don't know. I'm liking that.
Trademark Shooting Straight podcast. Don't try to steal it.
Yeah.
That's our deal. Let's see. We went to the tag titles. Lesnar. You know, I'm a big fan of Lesnar. I totally think he deserved it. Positioned himself in a position, but does he have the easiest job on the face of the earth? When he does work, they're great matches. I'm not putting anything down on that, but he shows up at Pittsburgh, checks in, hangs out with his best friend Paul Heyman for a while, walks to the ring, front row seat to watch Paul Heyman deliver one of the greatest promos of all time.
Awesome promo.
And then
always.
walks to the back and goes home.
Yeah.
What a better, like, you know, all the UFC rumors that are going around about that. I don't see, I mean, other than the competition factor, and maybe he feels he has something left to prove, but you're a 30-something, 36, 37-year-old man.
38, I think.
Yeah, or I might be a little younger. Don't quote us on that. But you got him doing that. Why would you want to go into a 6-7 week training camp to fight to get to fight someone when you work 3-4 matches a year? You show up for 10, 12 Raws a year, and you're making probably twice as much.
Oh yeah, and I think right now it's NFL free agency season, and I think that he's kind of playing that same card. He's kind of playing the UFC and WWE to kind of see where he could get a better financial future, and he's still young enough.
Use it to leverage himself, if nothing else.
Totally, he's still young enough to do whatever if that's what he wants.
And
to do.
and the WWE door will always be open. So if you go to UFC for 2 to 3 years, come back, that WWE door will be open. But like I said, on the flip side, do you want to put yourself through that when, if it's only about money? But if it's about competition or something, that's a different.
And I know this probably would fall in the news and rumor category, but apparently he kind of, he actually wanted to work simultaneously between the two companies, and this is kind of just what I read off the Bleacher Report. But and that's something McMahon would never do. I mean, or you would have never had the Monday Night Wars,
Yeah.
But I mean, if that were true, though it would be awesome from a fan standpoint, definitely to endorse someone and to promote them. That would be very hard
you got to think,
do.
like, especially if he stays champion. Do you want your champion getting his, like, say he does get his butt kicked in UFC, all of a sudden you're top guy? I know that was the problem with Lashley on TNA, where they were worried about him losing the fight, and then all of a sudden your top guy is, getting
done
beat.
for, and then you got all this money invested into him. Totally agree.
Randy Orton turned. Everyone saw it coming.
Yeah,
I thought it was too drawn out. It could have. I like those quick. If he would have hit RKO, did the Stone Cold flip off, run out the ring. Hey, I got over on you. But the 8-minute torture session was
turn or
whatever. And then they really need to stop him from talking during matches. You thought I would join the authority? I could have done with all that. Then
Roman Reigns picked up the win, by the way.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, and Randy Orton cost him a win last week and gave him the win this week. Yeah. So, and then we got Undertaker. I wouldn't say returned, but I guess it's confirmed that he's coming back. We'll see how they handle that. And I heard that he won't show up at all until WrestleMania,
which is probably the best for what happened last year, the loss of Lesnar and a year gone by. So it could be the best way to market it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was Raw this week, and we'll come back with news and rumors. All right, well, this week, kind of a slow news week a little bit, you know, especially for WrestleMania, on the road to WrestleMania. What do you think, before we get into this, since we don't have a lot to cover, they're doing away with the WrestleMania numbers. What do you, and it's the play button. If you have a WrestleMania play button.
Yeah, I noticed the play button. I didn't realize that the numbers were gone.
Yeah, I don't know.
Digital age, I guess.
Yeah, and I know McMahon gets these ideas in his head, or I guess the whole team, where they want to be trending, they want to be cutting edge, and maybe they thought numbers were old-fashioned, and I think it gives it a nostalgia.
Yeah, you've been following it for 30 years.
You look at the Super Bowl,
first.
So
I don't know. It's odd.
It will come back, I'm sure, like come WrestleMania 40 or something. Definitely. So the big news this week is Bill DeMott down there in Florida at NXT. Didn't this story was original, about 2 years ago?
It's been about 2 years. Like 2013, I think, is when the email first was sent from the student. But yeah, it's been long played, and I know a lot of people have touched on this. Jim Ross has touched on it. I know they touch on it in NFL, the whole bullying scandal that happened there with Jonathan Martin down in Miami. But, and this is a two-way street. And just having seen a lot of the boys in the back and slightly worked with them, in 2000 myself, and still having friends in the business, you know, I kind of see both sides of the story here. I don't in any way condone if Bill DeMott was really doing some of these harsh things and these name callings and putting people, you know, who's already injured and putting their futures and their financial futures and their lives on the line.
But is it? I mean, like, with that being taboo now, isn't that just kind of where we're at as a society in general?
Totally.
I mean, because you hear the stories from like Hulk Hogan when he broke in, or was it Matsui broke his leg the first day, and just to see if he would come back or not.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you couldn't, if Bill DeMott broke someone's leg, that would be even more.
Oh yeah, it's
than just
where wrestling was and where it's come. It's just completely different in terms of just that type of stuff. Like I remember my friend Jesus Cruz out in California, works for Hood Slam in Oakland, said that if you didn't shake the wrestler's hands when you met him backstage a certain way, you're going to get heat with them and stuff like that. So
I've heard
really,
like Cole
really...
Cabana talks a lot about it on his podcast, and he brings up references like if you look at a guy as Cookie, well, I mean, he could have heat with him. It's a different world that, like, it's almost. I know they talk a lot, especially when Colt was down in developmental. He said like when they would come to Raw. Everyone would have to go to John Cena and make sure that you said hello to him and shake his hand and the top stars. Otherwise, if you didn't, you would get heat with certain people.
I kind of believe that. I don't think that's not true. I kind of believe that. It just kind of sucks. That kind of still kind of remains, I would guess. It's still a little bit more. It's a little bit more. Whistleblowers are out there now. Yeah. And maybe for the good, maybe for the bad. Who knows? I don't know. Yeah, mixed reviews on that whole scenario.
Yeah, you know, I know EC3, Aaron Carter III, TNA. I forget what he was in WWE, but he said when he went through that Bill DeMott was there and he was horrible, and he actually made the statement something to, and I'm not quoting. This is just kind of paraphrasing. He said. It's one thing to be degraded by someone who knows what they're doing, but to be degraded by a never was.
Fat ass.
Yeah, exactly. And he's made his mark, and you know he does pretty good in TNA. He's one of their top guys. So my whole disgruntled thing about it was you're dealing with all ex-WWE employees who didn't make it, who are making these allegations. So it kind of all of a sudden there isn't as much merit to it as there was
But are they ex-employees because they blew the whistle? I mean, would they have had a future had they kept their mouth shut?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I wonder, but you know, but then it looks like they're just sour grapes. You know, we didn't make it, so now we're going to blame somebody else.
That's true. That could very well be the case. I mean, you've seen Joey Ryan. He went to TNA, but he had all kinds of bad stuff to say about Bill DeMott and Tough Enough and all the WWE developmental at the time.
Yeah.
You know,
the one I found hilarious who spoke out against DeMott was Bob Hardcore Holly, who's been known to be a bit of a bully himself. Who there was one Tough Enough where he lit up one of the guys and bloodied his nose. And,
Matt Capelli.
Just to prove a point. So I mean, for this guy to say, "Oh yeah, he's a bully," like it must be something pretty big for a bully to call out a bully.
You know, and that's true. And there's a lot of backstage stuff that a lot of people aren't going to know about unless you're really in that environment. It's all pretty much hearsay. So you just kind of gotta, like I said, you gotta look at it from each end of the spectrum.
Yeah, and you don't hear any of the guys who have made it saying anything, but then again, there are also the ones who are still under that umbrella. Yeah. And if they did say something, they probably wouldn't be under that umbrella much longer. Yeah.
Exactly.
The word on the street or the internet is Mark Henry's coming back.
Yeah.
You see him before WrestleMania, or
he actually shows up on SmackDown. Spoiler alert.
Oh, watch out.
Yes, he's going to intertwine with Roman Reigns and say that Roman Reigns does not need to face Brock Lesnar and not need to can't beat Brock Lesnar. Basically, just kind of put him down until he gets punched in the mouth, the Superman punch. But yeah, they kind of.
What did Speaking of that, we didn't really dwell into it too much on the Raw review. That Heyman promo. God, if anyone deserves a bonus from that WrestleMania main event, it's Heyman, because he's putting in more work than both of those guys so far.
And when you look at who, and no offense to either guy in ring, because they're pretty good in ring for being big guys and stuff, but I think that Paul Heyman is definitely the guy.
He's telling that story.
Yeah, totally.
How
He's the right person.
The Samoan crew would go down to the beach and beat up all the muscleheads, and if you didn't beat them all up, you don't come home. And then
Paul Heyman's something else. He's a gift to the business.
He really is. Like I said, what I would like to see would be if Lesnar is leaving for sure. I'd like to see Paul Heyman turn on Lesnar, join Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns turns heel. That way, I think that will. Yeah, you won't get all that backlash like I think you might if putting the title on Roman Reigns any other way.
And it fits perfect for Reigns, who doesn't really cut the best promos.
And you're working with a top-notch guy, you learn, and then you let him. He turns on Paul sometime or down the road, and turns face back again.
And even if Brock stays and they turn Brock face, they could do the double switch, the Bret and Stone Cold WrestleMania 13.
Yeah, because even if Lesnar stays, I don't think you're seeing him till maybe SummerSlam, but maybe like they might have a one-off somewhere. But I think Paul Heyman, he's telling that story. He's the one who's going to make that interesting.
And speaking of a Paul Heyman guy, how about Samoa Joe officially confirming with Chris Jericho that he's on his way to the WWE?
Yeah, nice segue. I like that.
See a Paul Heyman guy? What do you think?
I think he could be. I mean, definitely, I think Paul Heyman would run with somebody like that.
He's a guy that lets his actions speak in the ring and not so much on the mic.
Yeah.
So.
What I'm hearing is that NXT, I don't think they would just push him for whatever reason. Even these guys who have 20 years of experience are not pushing right up to WWE. I like, I hear they're going to take NXT on the road a little bit.
Good idea.
And you get, your veterans like Samoa Joe and make it like a super indie. Like, remember when ECW and WCW just shut down? You had these indies that had like dream matches.
They picked up a lot of the scraps, House of Hardcore.
That's what really reminds me. NXT reminds me of a super indie.
And I think the good thing, a lot of people are wondering why guys like Spanky and Rhino and now maybe Joe are going to NXT. And I even seen Scotty 2 Hotty and Brian Christopher take on Ascension over there at one point about a year ago or whatever, which I think it's good for these guys because it gives the new guys some real level of veterans to work with, but at the same time you're bringing in guys that have maybe never been in WWE or haven't been for a while, so things have changed, so they're getting their rust kind of out. They're really getting back into the swing of things.
And the New Age Outlaws was down there for a little while, and they actually were scheduled to work with the Ascension, but that, I don't know what's up with the Ascension right now. I haven't heard anything, but
the whole bringing the guys down to NXT, or like a Joe, for instance, before he comes to WWE, I think is smart just because it gives the WWE an opportunity to brush up on a new character because he's not going to be Samoa Joe. We know that. I'd be surprised if he were, but he gives him the opportunity to create his gimmick, to create.
I think they pull Daniel Bryan and do a Joe Samoa.
Hey, who knows? I know that they definitely don't want to reference his past. They definitely never do. That's WWE for you. So in the NXT brand particular, I think that's where it's very critical, and I think it's good.
If they do go on the road, guys like that, and I think Triple H is running that. He really knows the content and knows where it belongs. Like, they're not going to go to main big. They're going to do ballrooms like Ring of Honor. I would love to go to NXT and
me too.
That'd be a hot ticket.
Me too. Yeah, totally. Just to get the feel for it, the old school ECW.
And it gives the guys, a chance to kind of travel the road and get to, get a little different crowds. Because with that NXT crowd, week in, week out, it's the same people coming. You kind of fall into, they know you. It's not like territory days where you're in front of different people and you have to prove yourself and get your gimmick over in front of a new crowd every time.
At the same time, though, you don't want to lose that cult feeling either, because those are the people that brought you to the dance. So you don't want to get too far away from them.
And cost-wise, too, for a company standpoint, shooting at Full Sail University down there, it's got to be so much less than taking it on the road.
Totally.
Yeah. So let's see. Got that. Any thoughts on WrestleMania before we wrap up? Other than
there's nothing special. Maybe Jonathan Stewart maybe comes and participates in there somehow.
Not Jonathan Stewart. What's his name? Jon Stewart, yeah, you got it right. Jonathan threw me off. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, he comes and shows up for a celebrity aspect. Other than that, there's no real huge surprises.
Yeah, like the matches, I'm not really.
I take that back. I think Sheamus's return is going to be cut till.
You think the IC title, or
either that, or maybe the Andre the Giant Battle Royal.
Who do you know what? I know where the director's giving us the rap sign here, but you know what? It's our show. We can run a little late if we want to. Okay. What I do want to get into is the Honor the Giant Battle Royal. You know what I would like to see, and next week we'll kind of get into this more. We'll kind of match up what we want and if we booked it, what we would want. But I would really, and I think it's prime time for Damien Sandow or Mizdow, whatever his name is. If he wins that thing, eliminates the Miz, boom, and get him into a better gimmick.
And I actually was watching one of the Hall of Fames from 2013 or 2012. I don't remember. Mick Foley was inducted, and he made a Damien Sandow reference or something. And I remembered that he was the perfectionist.
Yeah.
And he was like the model, but more in terms of.
He always reminded me of Lanny Poffo.
There you go, the genius, cross between. But he had that model feel. He wore the pink tights, and he could do that because he was a manly man. But I like that gimmick, and I completely forgot about that because this whole Magneto 1 week and
in an age where your upper mid card guys it's just no one right now that you need to elevate a couple more of those guys, and I think he's one that's ready. He's been through the bad gimmick. And Ziggler, you need to push Ziggler a little more.
To the moon.
Yeah, definitely. Agree. And then the IC title, how many guys are in that now?
I think it's 6 or 8 at this point. I have lost count.
Yeah, I think 6 would have been that magic number. And I kind of like it. I was thinking about this on the way up to the studio. I like that because it replaces that Money in the Bank match that they had at WrestleMania. Yeah, so you kind of get that, but I definitely don't agree with Daniel Bryan being there. I think he needs to have his own match.
And I feel completely bad for Bad News Barrett. I like the guy, I like the gimmick, and he's just getting squashed every week, and they're really making him look like a goofball right now. And that whole title is just kind of being. Yeah. I like it, but I don't like it.
I would have liked it because they were going to make that like the working man's. Title, the workhorses. Well, you know what? And it got me thinking, who is the United States champion?
Oh, wow.
When's the last time they even seen that belt?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, exactly.
Rusev.
Oh!
Rusev.
Shoot, yeah. See, that's how unimportant that is.
Yeah,
and they're even trying to push that with Cena.
They're totally building the whole Rusev story.
Yeah, we got to get into that real quick. I know, director. I know. We'll get this done right now. What did you think about that Cena Rusev bit on Raw?
Yeah, I think, and that touches back to the whole Bill DeMott thing, and that goes into the WWE's partnership with anti-bullying, and then you run a whole story with their two major guys right now, two of their major guys, and John Cena bullying his way into getting the U.S. title match at WrestleMania and getting back on the WrestleMania card. Wow, contradictory?
And I think it was such for being a build-up for the last 2 weeks, it wasn't that big of a payoff. I'm just going to run down here and put this guy just because he badmouthed America. Not like he hadn't been for the last 6-7 months.
Here.
Yeah, exactly. But this was the time that I'm serious because I said it. I don't know.
They really have lost focus on the whole U.S. title. I mean, I know him being from Russia and everything was the original reason for putting that belt on him and stuff, but now it's just overshadowed by this whole.
Yeah. And they could have done so much more with that. Remember when Lance Storm was the United States champion in WCW and turned into the Canadian title?
Awesome.
I thought that was great. I didn't really care too much for the way that was handled. Could have built up, and I thought for a minute that we were going to see Hogan come out. I thought when he mentioned Hogan, and we got Axelmania instead of Hulkamania.
Right. But no, I still think Hogan will do something.
See, that could have been. I think that could have been the bridge where Rusev goes after Hogan, puts him in the accolade. Cena comes out, and then it's so appalling that they have to give him the match. And and that would have created more heat for the.
Well, and this will kind of tie into news and rumors real quick too. Is that I guess Lana's going to take some time off after WrestleMania to shoot a movie with Edge. And so I guess with her kind of giving John Cena the match, and then Rusev getting pissed afterwards when he's seeing the trainer, maybe that'll create some friction, on-air friction that will put her out. So
and one thing we didn't cover too was Sting and his his promo. I had heard some rumors, and they kind of verified that they weren't true, but that it wasn't Sting who actually delivered that promo. But then, like you were saying, what did you read?
Well, and it's tough to say. I actually listened to it too, and I thought at times they mild the distortion, and you can actually hear it was Sting's normal voice, and then it went back to distortion. But it kind of reminds me of the old '80s Black Scorpion bit where he kind of distorted his voice, and it turned out being Ric Flair. And they could be kind of doing that feel just to give Sting something new, even though it's retro, but new to a lot of people nowadays in the WWE, just for something different. I mean, we haven't heard him talk. I was hoping they weren't going to let him talk until WrestleMania, maybe, just like the Starrcade lead up in '97. But I think it was Sting. I just think that's the direction they're going with it.
That's what I think.
Kind of odd, but I would have preferred words on the screen, at least for now.
I think it was a great promo regardless. Whoever did it, that was a great promo. Yeah.
Totally. It totally put Sting on where he's at in his mission right now in WWE, and I liked it.
Okay. Well, that's pretty much, I think, all that we got for the week. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Come back next week where we'll have more news, rumors, and results, and hopefully things pick up on the road to WrestleMania. We'll see you next week.